Guys, I want to tell you something that is dark on too many levels. Something called the P Diddy massacre. Well, first for casuals, what is a P Diddy? Most betas would think the rapper P Diddy, the one J-Lo threw around for a few years, but we aren't talking about that P Diddy. No. To know what I'm talking about, you have to know how the P Diddy started. Now, to be politically correct, we have to name the P Diddy by its scientific name, the pork dumpling. But let's just keep calling it the P Diddy for reasons later in this video. How did the P Diddy start? Well, legend says that the P Diddy started during the Han Dynasty by a Chinese man named Zhang Zongjin. Yeah. Zhang was a Chinese physician who was mostly into modern medicine, was called the medical saint 1800 years back. In his village, many villagers were suffering through cold winters and with a lack of food and a lack of warmth. Then the man himself, Zhang, created something that will forever change the world and mankind as we know it. He invented the P Diddy. He would cook meat and herbs and wrap them around in dough he would call an ear, and where he would serve them in a bowl of warm soup. I'm going to guess probably wonton soup. And the sick people would be given this new innovative food, and in a matter of days, the frostbite would be gone and people were feeling better. This is no joke, I'm actually doing research on fucking P Diddies, and they saved a cold and starving village from freezing to death. Like, people want world peace and to feed all hungry people, just give them P Diddies, problem solved. Anyways, since then, people from all over Asia has heard about the P Diddy and the magic powers it bestows, and they started making it themselves. They call them yeah. I don't know what that stands for, but they were told they were like the shape of tender ears, something Mike Tyson probably loves. But ever since then, the P Diddy has been passed down from family to family, restaurant to restaurant, over thousands of years. You see them at Chinese buffets, you see them as Reddit monitors in Disney shorts, or should I say, Diddy shorts. But you keep thinking, I get what a fucking P Diddy is and why it's important. Well, okay, let me get there. It all started on Friday on the 21st of May, 2021 in a small town in Maine. The night before all this, after a girls lacrosse game, I locked myself out of the car while I was waiting for AAA, and my two friends Aiden and Andy pulled up in the B-Mobile to see what's up. I told him how I needed to spend the night at his place so we can go to the official high school state tennis tournament. He says okay, and Andy would join us for really no good reason because he wasn't even competing in the tournament, but to be there, yeah. Then they say, well, we are actually working tomorrow at the movie theater because Bob Marley is performing. No, not that Bob Marley, the New England comic Bob Marley. And I was like, okay, I'll go see him. He's pretty popular in Maine, and I have never seen a show, and he gets nothing but high praise. So the next day comes, I go online, I buy a $32 ticket to see Bob Marley at my local drive-in movie theater at that time. I pull up to the theater, and I meet Aiden and Andy as they were like workers who would guide people to their seats and stuff. So after like 2 hours of waiting, and the guy who was opening for him bombed and was uncomfortable for about 20 minutes straight, Bob Marley comes and the crowd erupts. And boy was he wasted. So personally, he's not as funny as I thought. A lot of people there were of an older audience, so it makes the jokes aimed toward like, you know, older New Englanders, which is no problem. I guess it wasn't my age range, which is totally okay. He did make me laugh a few times. So Aiden and Andy come to me like, okay, we can leave now. The boss says it's okay. So I leave early with them, and as we were walking to the car, we see this food truck named the Ugly Dumpling. Now this is important. This is where shit starts getting crazy. We were like, why don't we check this place out? And we look at the menu, 3 things we're serving. I forgot the first one. Then the other one was called Goons and P Diddies. Now, Goons were these crab rangoons were the inside, and what Aiden said, and I quote, the inside was like Velveeta cheese and mustard. He bought them, they were awful, it was bad. But then I'm like, maybe I'll get some P Diddies. And Aiden and Andy were like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And on the board, the writing for the P Diddy said, pork dumplings with this sauce, I forgot the name of it. Well, I thought, well, pork dumplings are good, I'll get some. So I order the P Diddy. I wait for maybe a little bit under 10 minutes, and then finally they served my long-awaited P Diddies. So we go to the car, Aiden bought his Goons, and which we had, they were just not good. But then I'm like, alright, time to try the P Diddy. And those were like the last words I said till tragedy. I take one of the P Diddies and I slowly put it in my mouth, and I started chewing, and eating, and I swallowed. For a brief moment, the world seemed to stop in place, and after a long silence, the only thing I could say was, they have no flavor. They had no fucking flavor. None. Zero. Nada. Nothing. No fucking flavor. I'm getting pissed. Aiden and Andy tried a P Diddy. They got the same result. Nothing. Like the dunes were just plain old bad, and yeah, it was bad food, whatever next, but the P Diddy offered nothing. And it was so infuriating because it gave nothing. And it could have had so much potential, but no. And Aiden and Andy understood and shared the same rage. The goons were fucking bad. At least I tried it and it offered something. It wasn't good, but it gave an attempt. P Diddy's did nothing. They didn't care to try. Like if this were gym class, you somewhat appreciate the goon for trying even though he fucking sucks at every sport. You get mad at goons, but whatever. But the fucking P Diddy is that kid who sits in the corner of the gym who doesn't offer anything. The P Diddy gave me nothing to go off of. It was so fucking bland. It's so fucking bland, it wore leggings and a championship sweater with white Nike Forces. Like, Little Salt would have went a long fucking way, dude. Nothing. I tried it with the sauce. The sauce was shit. The fucking P Diddy is the most fucking plain Jane thing to exist. The worst part, it was 4 for $10. 4 for $10. I bought 4 P Diddies for $10. I wasted hard-earned money from restocking shelves to spend almost an hour's worth of work on 4 tasteless P fucking Diddies. 4 for $10. $2.50 a piece. 4 for $10. I was irate. 4 for $10 fucking dollars. Food trucks are supposed to be good. They're supposed to be street food made with love and personal swagger. Every food from a food truck has a taste of everyone's personality. It has a story. That's what makes food trucks unique and fun. I get something that had no personality. And at the time I'm thinking, well, that was just a waste. Let's go home. So Andy buys a KFC bucket. We eat it like it's nothing. Like we were just over the trash can at Aiden's room, like how Gollum would eat. And we're just sitting there and talking, and a silence comes up for a brief moment. Then Andy breaks it by saying, 4 for $10. That whole night we talked about P Diddy's, how P Diddy's are bad for humanity, and even with the price, it made it worse. Remember, we had to wake up early to go to a state tennis tournament. So we're like, oh, we gotta go to bed early. Instead, this is what we were talking about at 11:30.
But just for $10 a day, you can have 4 P Diddy. Whilst I do the special P Diddy.
For $100,000 a year, I will get you 500 P Diddies. 500 for $100,000 USD. I'll give you 500 P Diddies.
But wait, there's more. If you calm down, I'll throw in a goon.
4 more.
I'll throw you in.
For $10 more. Hold the deal.
Listen, 4 goons, then you have to pay only the shipping, and the shipping's $10.
We just gotten 3 of them.
What if, guys, listen,
That would have been terrible.
what if the P Diddy, what if all 4 P Diddies was $1 and the sauce was $9?
You had to get the sauce.
The sauce is like $9.99 the P Diddy.
P Diddies are free. Sauce is $10.
Alright, campers, today we're gonna get you, Chef is gonna make you 4 P Diddies if you collect $10.
We were up till 12 talking about P Diddy's. Looking back all the way to what I said about J-Lo and P Diddy, I can see why J-Lo left P Diddy. Because she foresaw what P Diddy's will be in the future, and she just had to cut it. And we know J-Lo has many, many, many boy toys. And now I look at her in a new way. Yeah, she has almost as many engagement rings as Michael Jordan has NBA Finals wins. She left other people, and I can see why. Ben Affleck was a shitty Batman. Drake became borderline gay. Who the fuck is this guy? And she left A-Rod, because fuck A-Rod. Fuck A-Rod. And she left P. Diddy because of the future she saw. There's a whole theory on 4chan that J-Lo and Shakira's halftime performance was a symbol of the P. Diddy. Like the children in cages thing. Apparently it was a political statement about Trump putting kids in cages, even though both Obama and Biden did it as well. But really, we oversaw the children signified as pork, and the other things around it was the dough of the P. Diddy. And Shakira going was deciphered in Morse code to say, As ignorant as our Cro-Magnon brain was, we oversaw the warning both Shakira and J-Lo were trying to teach us, and now it is too late. On a side note, I'm not trying to shit on the Ugly Dumpling, saying it's a very bad place. Obviously, if it was that bad, nobody would go to it and it'd be out of business. But people are like in lines to get their food from there. Maybe even some P Diddy's. Just put some, just put some sort of flavoring with it. Like, not much, just enough to make it, like, taste like something. No biggie. And I bet you guys are so interested in this story about P Diddy's, and you guys are like, tell me more, tell me more. What else can I say more about pork dumplings being tasteless?